Welcome, everybody. We're glad to have you with us this afternoon. This is the 20th of September of 2023, and I'm Don Snow. I'm in Provo, Utah, and Gerhard Roof, our host, he's actually the president of our Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group. He's in Orem, which is a neighboring town, if you're not familiar with it, right, joins on to Provo. And I don't know how we could do any of this stuff without Gerhard. He works with me all the time to try and help me get things straightened out. Uh, the subject that we're talking about today is documenting your own life. And when you find something that one of your ancestors has written, an autobiography or something like that, you're just overjoyed to find that. Your grandkids and great grandkids and descendants are going to be overjoyed when they find something that you've done about your own life to help. And of course, anything that we talk about today could be applied to any of your ancestors to help them, to help you gather up information about them. So we want to talk about documenting your own life or anybody else's life. Okay, now here's the stuff we're going to be talking about, and I'll show you the notes here in just a second because they're online, and Gerhard will he usually sends a PDF, a link to the PDF copy, but the whole set of notes is online. We're going to look at some examples, and one of the key things that we're going to be using is a program called Everything. Everything is a free program that you can download. The link is in the notes, and we'll see how to use it because that's what organizes all the stuff. It finds things all over your computer in any of the hard drives, and by name and the title. It doesn't look inside the file, but by the name itself. We're going to be looking at some suggestions that will help in the documents and the articles and information you find about your life, so that you can label them so that you know what's in there. We'll talk about the types of documents, a little bit about sources, not a whole lot today about sources, but the sources for most of these different things are available in different sets of notes on my website. We'll show you a little bit about that too in here in a minute. We'll talk about uh, uh, developing a system, and hopefully you'll get some ideas about a system that you can develop yourself. I'm going to show you the system that I've developed that I use, and you can take parts of it or whatever you want to use from it to work on it yourself. Now, the class notes themselves are on that link that you see on there. UVTAGG is Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group .org. And then there's a whole bunch of resources on that page, information about our other classes and that sort of things. But the rest of that link on their classes, Dawn's, and then Dawn's hyphen classes .html is the link in it that I'll show you what that looks like right now. Let me see if I can shift gears here and get an Alt tab and go over to those notes. They're stored. Let's see, is this the one? My eyesight is getting so bad. Let me see if that's it. That's documented. Yeah, this. Okay. Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to get back to here and see if I could get back to a different. Okay. This is the class notes page. Let me widen that out so that it'll see if I can see where this is. There it is. And I'll roll the mouse wheel so that you can see a little bit bigger. This is that link that where all the notes are stored. There's information here about the sub pages that are on here, and then information, the links, the same Zoom number that we use for this class right now is on here, as well as the Facebook page. And then here's classes coming up. And this is the one that's the classes coming up. That's the one that's coming up today, right now. We'll click on this one here in a minute, documenting your own life. The subject for next month, and I've got the date wrong on here. I've screwed up the date, and it's going to be the 18th, the third Wednesday in October. We'll talk about finding birth records here, because that's certainly an important document. Then scrolling down here, here's the past classes we've had. So if you want to see the notes for any of the past classes, these are the past classes for this year so far, and then on down further are the past classes for earlier years. And this goes clear on back to back 15 or 20 years. Okay, now let me click on, I've already clicked on it, so I'll just see if I can't open up the next title here. Well, better yet, I will. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to get back to here and then go down to classes coming up, and I'll hold down the control key when I click on my notes. And so now open in a new window is the notes. So these are the notes for today's class, documenting your own life. There's an abstract here that gives you the overall picture of it. Then there's some introductory information here. And then item 4 lists the problem for today is how to find, save, and label documents and events about your own life. And of course, you could apply that to any of your ancestors as well. Here are some preliminary comments and examples. And the preliminary comments and examples here are to kind of whet or what do you call it, prime the pump so that you understand what I'm doing here. This program, Everything, that's the name of the program, free. And there's a link to it on there. That's what we'll use when we show these illustrations of different sorts of documents and so on, and for my own self or for my dad or whatever on here for the documents. The idea is if you can set up some sort of a system now that you can use at least for the new documents that you find related to your own life or any particular individual, figure out a way, a systematic way of labeling those, then go back and relabel earlier stuff to match your system later. It's a mammoth task to try and think about doing this all at once, and it's just overwhelming to try and think of it. So right down at the end of the notes, there's a famous quote that I don't remember who said it, but you'll see it. It's the last item on the bottom of the notes. Small deeds done are better than great deeds planned. And so start small. Don't think you got to do everything all at once. But if you get it uniform in some sort of uniform way, you can change that uniform way later. You can change it to other things. But it's the fact that it's not uniform that makes the problems for labeling and for finding stuff and so on. Different types of documents that you might want to consider. Certainly certificates, vital certificates, birth, marriage, death, adoption, all that sort of, well, hopefully you don't have a death certificate yet, but when your ancestors would, so you need to figure out a way to label those and so on. Some of those are those death certificates are actually online now. I paid $10 to get a certified copy of my dad's death certificate. He died in California in 1954. I discovered a couple of years ago that those certificates, the certificates themselves, are online on Heritage Quest online. I didn't know that before, but yeah, they're all on there, and so you can find those, and a lot of them are on there. Types, events, and stories that you might want to find from newspapers or from yearbooks or from your church records or from just 101 places that you might want to, city directories. Just you might want to find things and label them so that they jump right to where they belong in order with your system, so that they're where you can find them. There are some suggestions here for creating the file names, and that's the general stuff you'll see from examples. You'll see what my system is, and there's a couple of examples here of down. Let's see, I think it's numbers 25 and 26, or 26 and 27, something like that. Photos, I label photos differently because there's so many different photos, but portraits I include in as in events and so on. And then there's some conclusions, and there's that number 34. Start small. Small deeds done are better than great deeds planned. But if you start with the system, then you can modify that system. But once you get them uniform order, then you can change things easily in the group. You can change it to whatever other system you want to use. But if they're not uniform to begin with, you can't change them without doing it individually. Okay, now that's the set of notes, and those notes are available. They'll be online. There's a link to them, and Gerhard will have he usually puts a PDF copy of these notes on the in the chat for Zoom and in the comments for Facebook. So if you're watching this,
they're posted, Don.
oh, they're posted now. Good. Okay. There's a link there. And if you're watching this 6 months from now on Facebook, or well, it'll be on YouTube, this link will still be, hopefully, will still be good because I leave these on here. Okay, let's see if we can't get back to our main program. And let's see, let's see, we've talked about the class notes and so on. Now, what I want to demo is examples, and I'm going to be using this program, Everything. And the link to it is on the notes there, so you can download it. It's free. Of course, they would like donations, but it's free to use, and it is super fast. I'm using it with Windows. I think there's a version or something equivalent for Apple, for Macintosh, that would work comparable. Most of the things I say now for Windows here would also apply in for your if you're using a Macintosh and Apple stuff. We're going to look at some suggestions, and you'll see those as we go through the examples, and the types of documents and articles and so on, and labeling is the crucial thing. Now let's go back to let's see, to this page, and I should be able to get to my let's see, I need to get to, I thought I had it open. Is this it down here? Yeah, here it is. Okay, now this is the program Everything. Now let me widen this out a little bit, and I'm going to have to be able to see this because of my poor eyesight now. I'm going to have to turn on my magnifier here. So let's see, Windows plus turns on the magnifier. And there's the magnifier on now. Okay, now for most of you, you won't need this magnifier, but it may even help. Now, let me erase this stuff. I was just getting some things set up here. Let me delete all that stuff up there in the search. Now, when you first load up Everything, put it in, you have various setups. There's under Tools over here, you see the word Tools up here right there. One of the down at the bottom is Options. You have options as to which of your hard drives you want to include, or do you want to exclude any folders and so on. In my particular computer here, I have 3 hard drives. I have a solid state hard drive that it boots from, and then that's a 1 terabyte, and then there are two terabyte regular hard drives. So there's a total of 5 terabytes of information of storage space on my computer. You can set this thing to say, I want to index everything on all those, or I only want to see what's on drive C or drive D or whatever, and I want to exclude these. I want to exclude files that relate to the operating system and so on, so you don't mess those up. And so I've set those on there on the tools on the options thing. Now, let me scroll down here to the bottom of this, move down to the bottom of this page. You'll see down here at the bottom, someplace down here, there's I guess it doesn't show on here now. There's a number that I guess you have to go down a little bit further to see it. It's the number of files that it has found. On my 3 hard drives, there are 3.5 million files and folders or objects that are on here. And it has organized all of those, every one of those 3.5 million in this order here. Now, if I click up here, you see where it says name. If I click in there, I can say, okay, I only want to see those that have the word snow in them, S-N-O-W. Immediately, that quick, Now, of all 3 hard drives, these are the ones that have the word Snow in them. And you can type any characters that you want that's in any of the file names or types of files, and this will bring them up that fast. That it is so fast. I don't know why Microsoft can't put something like that in Windows to actually do the search. But it's because of this program that I've worked out this system of labeling. So if I want to label, if I want to find everything that has Snow, now that will include my dad, Eldon Snow, and my grandparents and everybody else. I'll put now DONALD. Now it's those that just have Snow Donald with no space in between it on there. If I want to pick up those that the words that are there, but that actually have a space in between them, 2 separate ones. Now there's more files now, because it has now found all those files that have both Snow and Donald on them. My middle name is Ray, so I'll move over here and type Ray. And it doesn't matter. You can set it so that case doesn't matter. So capital R, small r works. These now are every file that has the word Donald and Snow and Ray in them. Now, my system, for simplicity, I've gotten rid of the spaces in here. So I'm going to get rid of that space and get rid of, get rid of this space. So there's Ray. Now, my system is surname, then given names. And for a woman, if she uses a married name, I put that married name in parentheses. Now, the reason I do that, so I start with her maiden name on here. The reason I do that is then all the stuff before, like her birth certificate, her marriage license, which will list her name, her maiden name, or high school, anything else that where it has her name, it will still all alphabetize under her name. So I put, but I do want to know that she's married, and so I put in parentheses, I put the surname. So for my wife, she was Diane Manwaring, so it's Manwaring, Diane, and then in parentheses, Snow. Okay, now so this now shows all the people, all the words, all the files and folders on all my 3 hard drives that have that combination in there. Now my son Don Jr. also has this full name. Don died about 6 months ago, very unexpectedly. He was 62 when he died of influenza, if you can imagine that. So to sort out him versus me, I put in parentheses, I put left paren, and then 19, I was born in 1931 dash, he was born in 1960. So if I want to see just his, I put 1960 dash, and then he died in 2012, so I can put that in. For me, I'm still alive, don't have a death date, so I won't put a death date in there, but once I am deceased, my kids can just add in a death year on there, and then it'll be sorted out. So now what you're seeing on here is a list of all of these. It starts off with, first of all these things are file folders. So what you're seeing now are the names of file folders. I'm scrolling down, and as I scroll down further, it will finally get to where there are files themselves. And then it'll start, are we down to files? I think we're down to files now. Yeah, now we're down to separate files. There's some insurance files and other things that happen to have my name in them. But I want to keep on going down. I'll scroll right on down until I get down to where my stuff actually starts. There's a bunch of photographs and names of photos. Okay, now here's starting with me. So here's information about me. There's a military record, military history stuff, and so on. Let me get down. Let me scroll down a little bit further to where the dates actually start. Okay, here we go. 1931. So there's 1931. There's a birth certificate. Now notice that I've got, first of all, my name, Snow Donald Ray, then in parentheses, the 1931 dash, and no death day year yet, then I was born in 1931 in March 19th. And so I'm writing the year in international date format. That's 4 digits for the year, dash 2 digits for the month, dash 2 digits for the day. Now, the reason for doing that is because that automatically sorts in order. Chronological order or alphabetical order is chronological order if you use the international date format. Now, that's not genealogy date format. It's not the format that we use here in the United States. Some countries use this in this format, but we don't. But I discovered many years ago that if I label things with this, they all sort alphabetically. And so there's information on birth. Now, notice that what these things are. There's the name is a birth certificate from different places. I got several different birth certificates. They're from Los Angeles, California, from the state and from the county, and so on. And some of them are slightly different. Now, over here on the right, I'm just moving the cursor over here to the right. There's nothing over there yet. Watch what happens if I click on one of these things. Let me click on this one. Is that one? That's that's a JPEG. Here it is. There's the JPEG. That's a picture of something that I scanned from Ancestor or something. It probably says what it was about my birth from an index in the birth. Now let me just arrow down. You can see I'm moving back over here to the left. You can see all these different things. I'm going to arrow down with the down arrow keys, but I'm going to go over here to the right so that you can watch what happens as I click the down arrow. I've clicked the down arrow, and there's another something to do with my birth record. There's another one. These are different birth records that I've copied off of different places. Some of them are the same, and I need to go back and edit the good copy and keep them out. There's a copy of my original birth certificate that I had for many years. That was an old copy of, the black and white thing. There's a reversed image of it. That's a little bit better. But now they've got different sorts of certificates, and now there's a certificate. There's a little better copy of it. Here's another copy. I just need to go through these because some I scanned as TIFFs and some as JPEGs, and I just need to go through and take time to sort them out. But I'm just hitting down the down arrow key on my computer. Here's one of the current formats from this one from Los Angeles, from the Los Angeles Register. Hit the down arrow key again. Some of these are Los Angeles. Some of them will be from the state of California. Different sorts of things. These are different sorts of they're copies of birth certificates that I've gotten at different times from different places. There's a certificate of my blessing in the church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, when I was first blessed. That's a copy that's in here. I'm just arrowing down more copies of different things. That's when I was baptized, and that's when I was more baptism and so on. I'm just clicking the arrow key down, and some of these don't have anything because they're audio. Some of these things are actually audio things, and if I clicked on the picture over or on the name over here, it would actually play the audio thing. But they're all in order. I'm just let me just keep on clicking, going down, and see what comes up. See if some more stuff. Here's some more stuff. I don't know what that one is. Is that another birth certificate or something? Could have been. United States Federal Census. That's the census record of me, and probably the 1940 census, and so on. Anyway, you get the idea of what happens with this stuff, with the examples of these things sorted down. Now let's just take a look at some of these to see what's going on here. Now some of these, you see where it says audio, that's an audio version. I do an audio journal every night, and so I call those audio. And so all of those are, if I clicked on that, it would play the audio version of my nightly journal. I'm just going to arrow down here. I'm clear down into here. So let's just arrow down and see what else is here. Anyway, you get the idea of what's going on here. Blessings, different sorts of things. We went on when we were called as directors of the Family History Center in Manhattan, New York. That was a mission call. And so if I wanted to sort that out, it's in here in the list. Okay, now notice that's everything that's in there. Now, suppose I were wanted to say, well, okay, but where did you go to school? If I put a space in here and put SCHOOL, that's a key word. And so now what I'm seeing is only those records that have to do with schooling. I went to UCLA for a couple of years, and then in the yearbook, and there's a picture of the yearbook with me. That's high school in the yearbook. Let me just arrow down on this thing for a little bit. I was the manager of the basketball team at North Hollywood High School, and there's a picture of the page that's got my picture on it, and different sorts of things as to where I was at the time, and so on. And notice that some of these are duplicated, and I really need to go back and pick out the good ones and throw away the bad ones. There's a record, that's probably a record of my high school. Let's see what it is. It says it's a record of in 1950 school education, Los Angeles. Oh, UCLA. That's my UCLA transcript from when I went to UCLA. I was in the Navy for 2 years. After that, well, I was a missionary down for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Mexico and Central America. And so I learned Spanish down there and was down there for 2.5 years, and then Navy, because it was Korean War days. And so there's all my Navy stuff is in here. Now, suppose I wanted to, that's schooling. And then all my stuff from graduating and where I got my PhD at Stanford, all that's in here for later. Then if I back over, if I want to see, oh, you were in the military. Okay, what did you do in the military? Well, I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to put MILITARY. There's everything from me in the military. And so let me click on some of this stuff and see what it looks like. Let's go down a little ways here and find something that's actually I think these are probably that. What is this? That's my journal. That was a journal I did from the Navy. That was a Navy journal. There's the information from the Navy from when I was a yeoman second class when I finished in the Navy. There's my Navy dog tag. For artifacts, I just put the just took a picture of it. Actually, I just scanned that on a scanner, and there's 2 or 3 of my Navy dog tags here of on that. And so you can do all this kind of stuff. So that's got the information there of a naval career. There's more of the Navy and information on it. If you're interested in what letters did I write or what letters came to me that were related, I'm going to back over and get rid of military and type in here letter, LETTER. See, these are the key words that I put in there. This is now all letters that either came from me or to me. Let's see what this is. This is a letter. Oh, that's a life insurance thing. Let's get down here beyond some of that. That was some kind of a card or a letter. There's a letter. I don't know what the letter is. I can't read it enough to see what it is. But on here, there's if you go down far enough in here, all these are all in order. Christmas letters and all the other things. Here's well, let me get down into here. There's letters from when I was a missionary down in these. I've typed all my letters in from that I sent from Mexico and Guatemala up to my folks. And so this was from me to my folks when I was in Quetzaltenango. That's a town in the highlands of Guatemala, and that was in 1951. And here's the letter. I've typed the letter in here, so there's the letter on there. I need to go back and proofread this and correct the spelling of things and explain a little bit more about who some of these were. But if you just arrow down, I'm just arrowing down with the arrow key down. I'm getting the different letters in here. There's another one of where's this one from? This is from me to and Quetzaltenango, in Guatemala and so on as to what's going on. Anyway, you can see the idea of it. Now, if you want to, suppose you're looking for something in a particular time period. Okay, so let's back over here and look at 1957. Okay, now this is showing just the stuff that happened in 1957. Now, suppose I want to show, well, I want to know what, were there any newspaper articles that I was in? NEW.
Don, you didn't type 1957. You left the 9 out.
No wonder it didn't work. 1957. Thanks. Appreciate that. Okay, now here's 1957. Various articles that were in. There's an article that was in the Salt Lake newspaper in the Deseret News when I was called and to serve in the bishopric in one of the student wards at the University of Utah. That's Oscar McConkie in the back there. There's Neil Maxwell. He was the first counselor. And there's me as the second counselor. We served together for a little more than 2 years. There are 2 or 3 different versions of that because there were pictures in different newspapers, and the University of Utah Alumni Magazine ran a picture, and these are other articles. There's the one from the University of Utah newspaper. It was a little better picture, and then different sorts of things. I've got some awards as an engineering student and math student there and so on. Anyway, you get the idea as to what you can do with this thing. That's the system itself on the program. Now, hopefully that's giving you some ideas as to what you can do with the with labeling. See, it's the labeling. It's creating the label to know what's in the file that will help you find it and put them in order. If you use the surname first and then the given name, and use the maiden name for a woman because her married name may have been something different, it will alphabetize all the stuff together. So now if I want to find stuff from my dad, I've got the same system I've been using now for all these folks, for ancestors as well as me. For my dad, I can type in Snow, and he was Eldon Snow, E-L-D, Eldon, and Eldon Stafford. And so there's Eldon Stafford Snow. He was born in 1891, died in 1954. So now it brings up all his stuff, and it's completely in order. And if I want to see what his stuff was for military, he was in the Army in the First World War, then I just type in a space and put military. Or if I want to know what his schooling was, he went to school at in southern Utah at Dixie State College. In the early days, it was Dixie College. And then he went to UCLA, or not USC, got his dental degree. He was a dentist in Los Angeles. So all that's in here, and it's all sortable and searchable by order and by the information that's there. So if you get a system going, use a common system that'll work for you. This works for me, but you may want to modify this to get some ideas for yourself, different from this. But hopefully this is giving you enough ideas as to what you can do. But the crucial thing is labeling it in a uniform order, and then go back later on and pick up the earlier stuff so that you can find the earlier sorts of things. Here's Dad's USC information. We went down to USC and actually went into the library and photographed the yearbooks there. They're now online, but they weren't when we did this 20 years ago. All right, now let's see if there's anything else. Let's see if I've got, let me get back to our tab here and see if I can get to, okay, that's, now let me turn off the magnifier because now we don't need it. Okay, so we've seen all these demos using this program everything, and you've picked up, hopefully you got some suggestions, and you've seen some ideas of the types of documents and articles and so on, and then the labeling itself. Now here's a summary as to what we've just been talking about. We've looked at examples using this everything. We've got given you a bunch of suggestions as to ideas that work for me. Some may work for you. You may need to modify them to suit your own self or your own situation. Types of documents, anything you can find that relates to your life, whether it's a program, sports event. Maybe you were in a play someplace. If you got a copy of the playbill or something, scan it and label it, and so that it'll be available for you. Now, once you have all this stuff with this system that you've developed, you can begin to copy it and make copies on a flash drive to give to your family, or you can upload it to FamilySearch, a place like Memories on FamilySearch, so that it'll be available. Right now, FamilySearch has a private thing for those of us who are still alive. It's private, and only us can see it. Not even our kids can get to that part, though they're working on that to make it so that even our ancestors, whoever our descendants, whoever we give permission to, can actually see our stuff. But right now, it's completely private. It's only you that can see it. But once there's a death date in there, then it becomes public, and so all this stuff is saved for other people, whether it's pictures, whether it's portraits, whether it's data, or whatever it is. Anyway, hopefully you've gotten some ideas of things that might help you with documenting your own life and or an ancestor itself. Now, do you have any questions or any comments? And if you're on Zoom, just unmute the microphone and ask your question, or if you're on Facebook, type it into the comments, and Gerhard can read them off from there, and we can see if there's any questions or comments.
Don, this is Sam. I have a question.
Okay.
My computer crashed, and I had someone help me restore what was left on the hard drive. So if I use some portion of a file name, will everything find that?
Yes. Yes. As a matter of fact, I gave a class on this several years ago down in St. George, and a fellow called me up 20 minutes after he got home, and he said, Don, he said, that program found some files that were pictures that I had lost. They were on my computer, but I just typed in .jpg, and it found all the JPEGs on my whole computer, and there they were.
Oh, great.
So
thank you very much.
I use it daily for I probably use it 4 or 5 times a day and it's a free program. They'd like a donation, but it's completely free. And it is super fast, as you've seen. And so, yeah, Sam, so if you know anything that was in the title, and in fact, that's what I've been going back over my old computer stuff, and I find stuff that back, we used to only be able to use 8 digits or eight characters in the name. I found bunches of stuff that really needs checking and needs relabeling. And the way I've done it is by typing in Dawn, D-O-N, or even a date or some other character, and find the list of all of it and check it out to see what it is. So yeah, the answer is yes, it'll help you find your stuff that's lost. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, Don, I have one.
Okay.
We don't, by the way, we don't have any comments or questions on Facebook, and no one's, well, we have a thank you in the chat.
Oh, good. Okay.
They loved your naming system.
Oh, okay. Well,
that was Marilyn.
Oh, Marilyn Thompson. Oh, she's the editor of our tagology. Oh gosh, we couldn't work without her.
I was just going to say, Don, I have absolutely loved everything since you introduced it to me so many years ago. I'm grateful for it, but I'm grateful for this class because it reminded me of the importance of when I name my files, name them so that I can see what's in them before I get into them. So,
yeah, right.
Thank you. I've got to go, but thank you for the class.
Okay, good. Okay. It's such a major task, though. Don't give up. Just start small.
It's true. It's set aside that little bit of time. That's
right. Or when you find something, just put enough labels in there so that you can find it later.
Yeah.
So that it won't be lost completely, and then you can relabel it time when you had time later.
It's so true. Thank you.
Okay.
I have another question, Don.
All right.
You have such a wealth of information that you've accumulated in files.
Yeah.
How do you decide which ones you want us to upload to memories in the FamilySearch Family Tree?
Boy, that's a good question, because there's like you saw, I've got JPEGs and I've got TIFFs of the same thing, and I need to go through, and it's a never-ending task to figure out, well, what's the best picture and what's scanned the best, and should I go back to the original source and get a better copy of it and then upload that better copy to memories? That's a question. I don't have a good answer for that one, Gerhard. There's so much you could do. You don't want to load all this stuff up there because it's too much.
It looks like Steve has a question. Steve Heath.
Oh, Steve.
Yeah,
Good.
well, I just have a comment and a question, or at least advice.
Okay.
Being a person that's kept a daily journal now since 1966,
Oh boy.
there's a ton of stuff there, but I've got it all on one disk. But your method shows us ways to put the high school things that I have that are not in the journal, and the things that I did at SUU that I didn't record in my journal. I mean, newspaper articles, publications, those sorts of things. There's many things that we can do. So it's very good. It's a very good way to organize that other material, even if you have the journal. I will also say one thing about the journal. If you keep a journal, when you get old like me, you suddenly find you can find out lots of things, and things come back to your memory that you couldn't bring back any
Yeah.
other.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of you may not know, Steve Heath is a math professor at Southern Utah University. Steve, I've known for many, many years, for 50 years, I guess, in mathematics and church history. He and I talk church history all the time. He and his wife live in St. George now, and good friends. And those are good comments, Steve. Your journal, is it handwritten or is it typed?
The first 17 years are handwritten, and they were scanned. The others were typed on, with the computer, and then they were also scanned. So I scanned them all onto a file, a disk, so that they can be done that way. And
good.
And I update it once a year. I should probably maybe do it every half a year, but update it once a year to add the next journal to the file, so that I've got it. Then I got one disk for each child, and then I guess they can figure out what to do. But I need to do a bunch of these other things that you've outlined today, because I've got certificates, basketball games,
Yeah.
odds and ends that just sit around, and I've not done anything, and they need to be organized.
Yeah. Well, if you organize it, if your journal, do you use the international date format for your day in the journal?
I did not. So,
well, you could go back and rename them, the files, and then it would all sort in order.
Yeah. Although the file does have it, the year, and it goes chronologically by year. So
yeah, right.
So the 2014 journal can easily be found in the disk, and then they can read whatever they want. If they got a child born then, or a grandchild, or whatever, they can go back and see what Grandpa thought of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I had a journal for that long. I didn't start keeping an audio journal until the middle 1970s. And gosh, I wish I had a journal earlier. You're lucky to have one from 1966 on.
Yeah, well, I was only 23, so.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, wonderful. Okay, any other comments or questions? And if not, well, I appreciate all you people being with us today, and hopefully you've picked up a couple of ideas. Modify this. Don't have to take everything I say. Use what works for you. And hopefully I've given you enough ideas and suggestions that you can modify it and figure out what's going on yourself. Thanks for watching, all of you.
But by the way, Don, Sue
Oh.
Sue added an interesting comment on in chat.
Oh,
She says she now has another project on her to-do list.
yeah, don't we all? We're never going to live long enough to do all this stuff, though. But if we get it going, if you can get it some sort of a uniform system, somebody else can figure it out from there and at least give it a good start for what's going on. Thank you, folks. I appreciate y'all. We'll see you next month.